Hi, I'm Pete, and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm. Today I'm going to talk about what it takes to create a successful small farm that can support a family. Now, as part of that, I'm going to give you a description of how our farm works and how we make money from our farm for all those new subscribers we have, which I'm very thankful for, that don't know the history and sort of the underpinnings of our farm. Creating a successful small farm was a really deliberate process for me. By the end of year one of our farm, I knew exactly what we wanted to grow, how many of each type of animal we wanted to grow, what our marketing approach was, and what our farm would look like from year one through year 7. Now, while I'm doing this, please keep in mind that I'm not selling a one-size-fits-all approach. I see other people on YouTube that do that, and I think it's awfully misleading for somebody who's just getting into farming to have somebody else tell them this is exactly the way you have to do it to be successful. Every small farm is successful in a different way, and it depends on your strengths and weaknesses exactly how you set up your farm. I am really skeptical of these so-called snake oil salesmen that say, just follow my plan step by step and you'll get there. What I want to give you in this video is a general approach and things to think about, and some common themes that apply to all small farms. Things like finances and your attitude toward change, and keeping track of the quality of the product that you grow. Our farm consists of 45 acres, and we're located near Ithaca in central New York. The climate here is lush in the summer. We get a decent amount of rainfall. We can grow grass like crazy. The winters are cold and snowy, but the summers make up for it. I grew up on this farm, but I didn't farm when I got out of college. I was an architect for 20 years, and my wife Hillary was a registered nurse. We came back to the farm 7 years ago to raise our 3 kids, which are now aged 12 to 17. We raise chickens for both meat and eggs, pigs, cattle, and a batch of turkeys in the fall for the fall holidays. We're a pasture-based farm. Our principal ethic is to grow all of our animals on grass whenever the grass is growing. So from April through November, we have chickens, pigs, turkeys, cows, all growing out in pastures. And we're a direct-to-consumer farm. All the products that we grow are sold directly to the people who will eat them. We sell our products at 3 local farmers markets in Ithaca and directly from the farm. I believe that the ethics by which you farm influence your profitability as much as anything. And on year 1, day 1 of our farm, I sat down and I wrote a list of ethics that we still farm by. And as I go through them, you'll see a lot of them talk about how our farm is profitable. And I'm going to have to put on my glasses and read them. We're a family farm. All the labor on our farm is provided by our family. We don't have any employees. Number 2, we don't carry any long-term debt. We pay for everything with cash, and we don't pay any interest to the banks. Number 3, we buy old equipment cheaply, fix it up so it's reliable, and maintain it ourselves. Number 4, we build our farm infrastructure, our fences and our housing for the animals ourselves, and we build it such that it's easy to pick up and move around or disassemble as changing needs dictate. Number 5, we're careful about our expenses. We have to live a frugal lifestyle to support ourselves on a small farm. And the side benefit that I've found is if you're doing what you love, you don't need a lot of extraneous stuff to make you happy. You're out there doing what you love. Number 6, we work to increase the health of the land that we're farming and our community. We're not extractive farmers. We're not exhausting some limited resource. We're after building better soil year after year. And the last one is that we create direct relationship with consumers. That way we capture the profit that the middlemen usually make. Now let me highlight a few of these and make the link of how they make our small farm successful. Number 1, we do everything ourselves, and we're jacks of all trades. If a fence needs to be built, we build it ourselves. This is a traditional farming ethic that I grew up with. Farmers take care of their own problems. They don't look to somebody else to do the work for them. So if there's a skill that needs to be learned, we learned it, and we save all the money that we would be paying mechanics, contractors, and custom haymakers, etc. We don't spend a lot of money on equipment. Most of it may look like junk, but I buy it cheap. I go all the way through it so it's reliable, and then we use it. And sometimes I even paint it. I love fixing things and I love old equipment, and it's a part of small farm life for me. Yes, it's not as big and as fast and as shiny as brand new equipment, but I don't care. This is a small farm and the dollars make sense. For a small farm, selling directly to consumers is huge. Over 7 years, we've built a reliable, repeat customer base, and that is a steady form of cash flow for us that doesn't go up and down with commodity prices. Most larger farmers are growing commodities and selling them into the industrial system, so they're growing corn or soybeans or beef, and they're sending it into that system, and they have no control over the price they're going to get for that. Our prices are steady. They don't go up and down with commodities. Our prices have changed very little since we started out. Two things that are absolutely awesome about selling direct to consumers is, number one, I get cash on the barrelhead. I hand the chicken to the customer, the cash comes right back. I'm not waiting 30 or 60 days or wondering if I'm ever going to get paid. The second great thing is I'm not getting yanked around by middlemen. I determine my prices are steady, and we don't do any wholesale sales. Everything is retail, no discounts. We're not doing things the old way. There are some things I love about traditional farming, and there's other things that I absolutely hate. Joel Salatin was a big influence on how we think about farming and the use of our land. These are the big ways in which our ethics affects our bottom line. And the next thing you have to do if you want to create a successful small farm is you have to plan ahead. You have to have a financial plan almost from day one. I want to make clear here that the ethics that we use are not the ethics you should use. You should just have ethics and think about how you farm affects your bottom line. Now, about business plans, they are not rocket science, and I have a lot of videos, if you look back through our video library, that go into great detail on this. But the essence of it is you need to know how much profit you're making on each animal or vegetable or whatever it is that you're selling. And the way to do that with certainty is in your first year to track carefully all of your income or sales and your expenses, and then at the end of that season you know how much you made per unit. We knew how much we made per chicken, per pig, per cow. Then it's really simple. All you have to do is do the math and figure out how much you need to live on, and then you know how many animals you need to grow. Once you have your sustainable business plan that says how many animals you need to grow to make your living, don't expect to grow into that plan overnight. It takes years because there's three things you have to grow and balance. Number one is the market you're selling at. You need to develop your customer base, and that takes time. Number two, you need to build infrastructure like fences and barns. That takes time. And number three, you need to grow your animals. Now, you got to keep all these three things in balance. If you grow too many animals and you don't have customers, you're stuck with stock. If you grow infrastructure too fast and you're not selling enough, then you wind up in debt. And if you grow your markets too fast and you don't have the stock to sell at those markets, then you wind up with empty freezers. You got to keep a balance. It took us 7 years to grow into our original business plan, and now our farm pays all of our living expenses. And when you're just starting out, you got to have working capital to grow your farm. We didn't own any of this stuff when we started. In fact, this was just field. We had savings to draw from, and in year 1 through year 5, you need to plan on making some heavy infrastructure and equipment purchases to get your farm up and going. It's a basic business principle that whenever you're growing a business, you need to reinvest money back into that. So if you don't have savings like we did, you can't quit your day job, and it's a gradual taper. You know, your day job, you may be able to go part-time and eventually quit while your farm is still growing at the same time. It's a gradual transition. And the money you're bringing in those first years as profits from sales of animals need to be reinvested back into the farm. They can't go to your living expenses because you got lots of stuff to buy. I always operated under the assumption that if you're going to be a small farm and be successful, you have to sell directly to consumers. And in order to sell directly to consumers, you have to be a good marketer. You have to be a good salesman. You have to have a marketing plan. And you have to differentiate yourself amongst all the other competitors that are in your market. Now, traditionally, farming didn't include any marketing, and even more so nowadays than it used to be. Farmers produce a commodity and it gets sold into the industrial system. You just take it down to the mill or take it to the stockyard and that's it. But we have to sell our products, and that takes a whole different skill set. When we started out, our first differentiator was just the following simple phrase. We're a small family farm that produces all of our livestock on grass and grows soil fertility in natural ways. As time went on, I realized that we needed to find a marketing story for each individual product that we sold. And one of the best examples is Dexter Beef. Now, I love Dexter cows for all kinds of reasons, but people often ask me, well, how come you don't grow these giant monster breeds that are typical in the beef industry? And my answer to them is always because the Dexter is atypical. Every Yahoo around here is growing Angus beef. If I brought that to market, I'd be competing on the same plane as dozens of farms. But I've got a story about Dexters. They're a small heritage breed that almost went extinct, and they're being brought back now. They finish really well on grass. They marble up well on grass. Their beef is delicious and tests better than Angus or Hereford beef. And they're a small animal, so their steaks are nicely proportioned. You can get a nice thick steak that's not 3 pounds. It's about 1 pound, and that's what our direct-to-market consumer base wants. Now, for small farms, the consumer is king because we're selling directly to the consumer, and those repeat consumers that you build are what help you sleep at night because you know they're coming back week after week for your product. So in my world, the customer is king, and I have to endure and keep a smiley face at a lot of seemingly strange and maybe what you would think stupid questions about farming, because I have to realize they don't know much about farming, and they probably should know more, but I have to be patient and explain to them how things work and how their products are grown. Overall, selling at market is such a positive place. You get so much positive validation for what you're doing. I am proud that we've only had 2 unhappy customers in 7 years, and the first one was unhappy because she thought she was buying organic products from us and never bothered to ask. And the second one was unhappy because we double booked her holiday turkey and didn't have a turkey for her. I refunded her her money for her turkey and threw in a roaster chicken to boot. Another general rule that applies to all successful small farms is you have to grow a superior product. After all, you're competing with supermarkets who are selling stuff dirt cheap. Never ever sell a product that is less than premium. Look at it before you sell it. And if it is less than premium, save it for eating yourself. We get a lot of chops back from having pigs butchered. They got a big bone in the middle. We eat them ourselves. Sometimes we get some fatty steaks back. We eat them themselves. I'm not selling those because they're less than premium. If you grow the best, people will beat a path to you, but you have to be patient. It takes time for word of mouth to spread. In our case, our first and still most popular products are chicken and eggs. And I got a lot of people that come back to me and say, this is the best chicken, or these are the best eggs I've ever had. We want to make every product we sell that way. And part of it's through the marketing story, and part of it is know-how in farming, and it takes time. But if you can't grow the best, move on to the next thing and find the right products for your farm. Being patient is a theme in small farming. Just like this old tractor is patiently awaiting its restoration, I'm not a patient guy. Whenever I start something, be it a farm, a YouTube channel, a tractor restoration, I want it to be done perfectly, and I want to have success overnight. Being patient is hard. You have to give your farm time to grow and expand, and at the same time, you got to work like the dickens to grow it. Like I said, it took us 7 years to grow to the point where we're now starting to refuse business. You have to grow those 3 things I mentioned earlier together: markets, infrastructure, and animals. It takes time to accumulate a customer base. It takes time to build your infrastructure out to your ultimate size. And it takes time to learn how to be a better farmer, to learn how to be a better marketer, and to learn how to work best with your land and coordinate it with the type of farm that you want to have. I had something to prove when Hillary and I started out on this journey, and that was that a small family farm can still be self-supporting in this age when bigger is always assumed to be better. Now, I have a habit of jousting at windmills, but I'm here to say that you can do it too. And not by following what I've told you directly. I'm not telling you to graze a certain way, or make hay or not make hay, or farm organically or anything like that. I'm just saying these general principles can give you your own unique farm. Make your own plan. Don't follow somebody else's plan. Make it unique to you. I hope this video was informative. I am glad that you're with me, and I'll see you next time.